Hi, and welcome to Pathfinder Mastermind. My name is Wendy Rosenthal, and I am joined today by a new Pathfinder collaborator. I'm so excited to welcome
Mastermind.
Miriam.
My name is Wendy Rosenthal.
Oh, somebody's got their Miriam, turn off your phone.
You can tell I'm new at this.
I love it. I love it. I love it when there's a glitch on the first day somebody's on. Anyway, Pathfinder One to One is an organization that provides spiritual coaching in many different modalities. Now, a lot of times you see me here with my other colleague and Pathfinder collaborator, Rachel Madar, and we're talking about kind of bridging the spiritual world and the business world. Well, today, as we expand our Pathfinder world, we are going to be talking with Miriam. Miriam is a specialist in the art of allowing, and she is an amazing coach that really helps people understand how to attract things into their life. And especially those people who are 50 and over. And why do I point this out? Because I know, Miriam, you help many, many people. But truly, when you get a little bit older, there's different dynamics that are at play, different concerns. You're in a different stage in your life. You've had different experiences. And from what I know of Miriam's clients, I can tell you she really does know how to help guide people who are 50 and older to really look at that stage of their life as almost, it's like brand new, not starting over, but just extending like an amazing life beforehand. So I'm very excited to welcome you. Hi, Miriam.
Hi, Wendy. Very excited to be here with you on my first Pathfinder Mastermind. Woo!
First of many, first of many.
First of my hope so. Yeah, definitely.
So when Miriam was and I were talking about what she wanted to share today, it's really about the balance of taking action versus letting go. Now, if you're tuning in because you thought this was going to be a discussion about business, I want you to know that what Miriam is going to talk about applies to everything, right? So I might
Absolutely.
add a little something in about business, but the reality of it is that taking action or letting go is something that all of us face in many aspects of our lives. So Miriam, why don't you kind of start and tell us about how to balance that and what happens when we hold on too much, or when maybe even let go too much.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, taking action can relate to career, looking for a job, where it has to do with relationships, looking for an apartment, dealing with financial challenges, making a major decision, even making a small decision. At some point, we are under the influence, most of us, that everything needs action. You have to take action in order to manifest. And I think there's also a fallacy out there that everything has to be major effort to manifest, which I will beg to differ. And we can talk a little bit about that as we go ahead. But one of the most important things that I try and help people understand, and that has helped me when we're talking about take action, don't take action, is that what am I under the influence at this moment? Where is my emotion? Because our emotional state is always telling us what I'm under the influence of. Am I under the influence of my fear, my doubt, my lack, my insecurity, my need for control? Or am I under the influence of the source being, my inner voice, my inner compass that is inspiring me? I'm ready to take adventure. So to me, that is one of the first things we want to think about when we're about to take action. If an action, it's a subtle difference between motivated to take action and inspired to take action.
Well, before you go there, I want to stop you because
Yeah.
you kind of know me, and I know that some of our listeners have heard of me talk about this, because my nature is to take action.
Take
I am
action.
one of those people that I jump right in. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't even understand how to kind of sit back, right?
Totally.
So is there a difference, let's say, in the type of personality you are, whether you're going to take action or not? Or do you feel like action kind of becomes like a default for almost anybody?
I think definitely there's a difference. And I think that's why both you and I also deal with astrology, because it helps us have a basic understanding of a person's personality traits. And we're all a little bit different. And there are people that may never take action, but someone never taking action out of fear is almost the same as taking action out of
Out
fear.
of fear.
Once
Exactly.
again, it's about what am I under the influence of? So if you're someone that's always afraid to take action because there's fear, then you need to look at the same thing. It's you're just taking a different route out of fear. So I think it's important to really realize, first of all, that I like to say, if it feels light, it's just the time is right. And it feels heavy, something's not ready. It's like,
You gotta
like
do,
when
you gotta
in
do a little
doubt,
about that.
when in doubt, chill out. Like there is a need. And I think I too was brought up with like, you want anything, you got to work for it. You got to work for it. You got to work for it. And the thing is, like, it doesn't necessarily help you to go when you're in a place of fear. I'm afraid I'm not going to find a job, or I'm afraid that if I don't text this person, they're not going to be thinking about me. If we're always coming from the fear or the insecurity or the lack, because what I deal with in coaching is a lot about law of attraction. What you vibrate out is what you manifest in.
Right.
So what are we focusing on? What is my focus? My focus is what I don't have, what I'm afraid of. And when you're focusing on what if I don't find a job, then you're not vibrating in receiving a job. You're vibrating, I can't find a job, or what if I
Right.
don't find a job? So when you're about to take action, really, that's the most important thing. It's like, what am I under the influence emotionally right now? And when you are under the influence of trusting the universe and saying, okay, I know that right now I am like doing this out of fear or lack, I am going to let go right now, and I'm going to trust. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's a process of starting to do it with littler things, and you start to see it manifest, and then you bigger things. But as you do that, you start to open up, because when you allow the universe to come in, it's trying to, but we're like trying to control, trying to do this, trying to do that. And there's no synchronicity. There's no vibration that's bringing the universe in to say, hey, I've got something lined up here, but you're not open to it because you're freaking out. And I'd love to tell a really quick story. I had a woman that I was recently supporting, and her husband, who was a very traditional breadwinner, also in his like late 50s, lost his job during the pandemic, has never been without his job. He has taken care of his wife and family since, they were married when they were in their late 20s. And for him, it was devastating. And and she was freaking out because he's freaking out. She's, I don't know what to do. He's not hearing me. I keep telling him it's going to be okay. Just let go. We have a few months money in the bank. It's not like we're on the street tomorrow. And he was just on this trajectory of, I'm never going to find a job. What I do is very small industry, at my age, at my this. And he just kept putting that. So she, please talk to him. Please talk to him. And I finally got him on the phone, and I was going to try and get him to take one day, 24 hours to just let it go out with your wife, go out in nature, walk the dogs just for 20. But I knew I could hear in his voice, there was no way he could do it for 24 hours. So I said, let's take 30 minutes to just stop obsessing on you're freaking out about not finding a job, of being without a job. And what if this, and I'm never going to find it, for 30 minutes. And I am not exaggerating. While we were on the phone, and he was saying to me, you're right. I got to just let this go a little bit. It's making me sick. And 10 minutes later, while we're on the phone and he's saying, you're right, he got 3 text messages about potential jobs. And that's just 10 minutes of letting go. Right. So can you imagine if we do that on a regular basis?
Imagine how tightly wound he was.
So when we're in the flow, when we're letting the universe come in, when we're letting source energy or our inner being or whatever come in to help us, that's when synchronicity comes in. That's when you might get an idea in your mind that you didn't think of before, because you weren't like trying to find the idea. It just comes in and you're like, oh, maybe I'll try this. And then it brings you to the right place at the right time, or you happen to go there while you're relaxing and you meet a person that knows somebody that has the job. It's unbelievable what will happen if we just let it go when we're in that mode of it's not going to happen.
So let me ask you a question. To me, it seems like there's almost a cycle. Like there is time for action. Like we can't just sit
Absolutely.
back, right? Like you're not suggesting you just go, okay, I'm just gonna let go and let things happen and I don't have to do anything. Right?
Right.
Is there a cycle? Is there a like if you're starting to take action, like do you know when there's that point or how do you tell?
Yeah. And so just like I said, what you know based on your emotion, where are you, how are you feeling right now? And how we feel right now is our indicator of what we're under the influence of. So if you're under the influence in that moment of all those negative emotions, that is not the time to take action. You're just not going to bring in what you're looking for.
All right, okay.
But and we'll give you some tips on some of the things we can do to get out of that mode so that you can be in a place where you are open to amazing things that could happen that you can't even imagine. You know, like I said, different ideas, solutions, synchronicities, you know, things that can come up. And then or you'll get an idea when you're not focused on, you could be focused on decide, okay, today I'm letting go of the need for a job. I am going to focus on something that's working really well in my life, or I'm going to spend time doing whatever this is that gives me joy, or at least some satisfaction. So my mind is off of that. And then you'll find that in those moments when you're not freaking out, you're not focused on what you're worried about, you'll get an idea. Like this happened to me a couple months ago. I was looking for work and I started to go to that place of, oh my God, what if I can't find a job? It's pandemic, da, 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 and I have to find, and then finally at one point I said, you know what, Miriam, you're going there. Let's let it go. You don't need to figure it out today. And I think it was the next day I was just out grocery shopping. And then an idea just went up. I wasn't thinking about it. It just came to me. Drive by this particular place. I know they're opening a store there. I know every time you've always driven by and it didn't look like it was open, but just drive by today. Somebody just said, drive by today. I drove by, I saw that the paper was down. I didn't see anyone in there. It was just fixturing. Nope. And I just went and I saw a security guard at the door and I just knocked on the door and I said, by the way, is there a manager here by any chance? And he goes, yeah, actually there's someone here doing interviewing.
Yeah.
And I said, well, it just so happens I put in an application online. I haven't heard from him, but do you mind if I wait? I waited. They brought me in, interviewed me, and hired me right that minute. Now, I wasn't freaking out. It was just an idea that said drive by. By. It just so happened there was somebody there. So those are the kind of things that you wait for those moments, and then so I took action. I took an action, but the action wasn't based on fear or lack. My action was just an idea came to me and I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. Let me go check it out.
And you went with the idea. So it's really interesting because there's the letting go. And like you're saying, there's the action, but the action came through the letting go and having the idea and saying, I'm going to go with the flow. I'm going to go with the idea. I'm not going to stop the idea. I'm going to just let it come in.
Exactly. And you can tell when those ideas, and we talk about this through different modalities that we've been through, is that when something comes to you without you looking for it, you know that it's coming from something bigger than you, and so that's where the universe is saying, oh, let me give her an idea. And then I'll have her be at the right place at the right time,
Right. And this is what I tell, to bring it to my side on the business side, what I tell my executive clients is when that idea comes in, right, to almost not take ownership of the idea, right? To say it's coming from something bigger. Okay. Yes, it's in my brain. That's fine. But it's coming from someplace bigger. And the minute that you actually acknowledge that it's coming from someplace different and bigger than you, and it's not like your brain, right? More comes in. It's like, oh my God, more is coming in, and there's more actions than that you can take because actually more ideas, they just pop in and it becomes this flow.
It creates a momentum. It does. And the other thing is that as you start to see those things happen, that momentum does go where you start to trust. And the other thing I want to say is we cannot attract more than we believe we can. So if you don't believe that there will be a job out there for you, then you're right. There won't, because that's your belief, and that's what your energy is going out there, and you can't attract what you don't believe. So you need to, and that takes time too. Like, you work on your belief systems, you start to work on smaller things, and then slowly but surely, as smaller things and more things come that you didn't expect, that come from like crazy places, that you like, I had a crazy experience a couple years ago where I was dealing with some financial stuff, and then I just really just said, I believe that money can come from places I can't even imagine. Like, money is coming from somewhere and I can't figure it out. And I got this crazy letter from a company I worked for 15 years before saying, we've been trying to find you. We think you have a pension plan with us. It was so crazy. And I did. And I had no idea. And it just showed up like 15 years later. Why? Because in that mode, I was really believing that it could come from anywhere. I don't need to figure out where it's coming from. Anything's possible, right?
I love it.
What we believe is what we can get. The other thing I wanted to talk about is comfort zone. So there's this thing out there, because that's a big thing that we all hear about. You got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to get out of your comfort zone. So I think there's a little bit of balance in that. I don't believe that getting out of your comfort zone is to the point of being afraid, like having fear, like major fear and anxiety. That is not the kind of getting out of your comfort zone. It's more inspired with a little like, oh, this is a little scary, but I'm excited, like, yes, it definitely, you're doing something that's not typical for you. Yes, it's not like your typical path. It is a little scary, but it's more inspired and adventurous than it is fearful and anxiety ridden.
And I think that we should do just one of these sessions on just comfort zone, because that's a whole conversation.
It's a whole big
That's a whole conversation.
Exactly.
Okay, Miriam, you said you had some tips.
I do. So I have a few tips on how to help you know when to take action, when not. So the first thing is to pay attention to how you feel and find a way to feel better. And, that could be any number of ways. You could write there's so many different ways to get to feeling better. Appreciation lists. I mean, we all talk about it all the time, but it really does help to write down, like, when you're freaking out about whether financial or not having a relationship, what can I really appreciate what I have right now? Self-care. If you get, I know for me, when I go out in nature, it just fills my soul and helps me when I'm in a challenging place, or if I just want to feel better, go out in nature, get a massage, listen to music. Then when you're feeling better, start daydreaming, like daydream what it's like in that perfect job or that perfect relationship. Imagine yourself like in it. And what does it feel like? Like really feel the feelings as if you're already in it, because you can't bring to you something that you don't feel inside you. Like, you need to start creating those feelings. Write down what it feels like to be in that job or in that relationship or whatever it is that you're, worried about, have it written down, but always encompass how it feels. And then talk to yourself. Like, I talk to myself all the time. Like, I know I don't have to figure it out today. Things always work out for me. I'm not on the street today. Like, there are other things that I do not have to figure it out today.
Right.
And I talk to myself. The second thing is, try not to face reality. Sounds crazy, but we always got to face reality. There's no jobs out there because of the pandemic. Got to face reality. You face reality. When you face reality, you're not allowing the universe to support you in things that don't seem logical, because there's a lot of things that aren't logical. Right. But if you are facing reality all the time, and see where you're vibrating, don't watch the news if it affects you negatively right now in the way you're feeling. Don't, listen, don't look at the, percentages of people out of jobs, don't face reality.
All right.
And then the other thing is, meditate, quiet your mind, unplug, because if you don't have any time that your mind is quiet, you can't hear those messages. You can't get those little impulses. So I say, instead of taking the action journey, which is all about trying to control your conditions, take the emotional journey, which is helping you deal with your own personal vibration.
I
So
love
those
it.
are my
I
tips.
love it. Thank you, Miriam, so
My
much.
pleasure.
I love the idea of taking the emotional journey instead of the
Mhm.
action journey. And as the person who's always trying to take the action journey, I'm going to listen to you. So I appreciate that. Now you can find Miriam on our website at www.pathfinder1to1.com/Miriam-Chankin. That's Pathfinder one, the number one, TO, the number one.com. We've got the link in the description here. So if you want to find out more about what Miriam's doing or her sessions, you can do so. We encourage you to visit us there or on our social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram, and coming soon to YouTube. And we really appreciate you spending your time with us. And we look forward to another Pathfinder Mastermind with Miriam very soon.
All
Thank
right.
you
Thank
so
you,
much.
everybody.
Have a great day.